Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Ringside Cinema. I am Money Mike, and this will be officially the last video for 2025 on this channel. So, I thought today, since it is Wednesday and we know what that means, I figured I'd have a little fun hypothetical video, right? We all know about the pending acquisition of Warner Brothers by Netflix. It is expected that they are going to reject the offer from Paramount to stick with the merger with Netflix. Now, that is from Variety.com. This is the latest update here, and I'll get into the wrestling aspect of it here in a little bit. I just want to talk a little bit more about it here. It says the board will formally gather for a vote next week. Bloomberg News reports. The board of Warner Brothers Discovery is poised to reject the amended takeover offer fielded by Paramount Skydance last week, as David Ellison keeps up his pursuit of the assets as he sees as crucial to building a 21st century Hollywood heavyweight. Bloomberg News reported Tuesday that the WBD board was expected to reject the amended offer that was made with fanfare by Paramount on December 22nd. Warner Brothers had already struck an agreement to merge with Netflix in a deal valued at more than $80 billion. Now, obviously, you must be thinking, what does this have to do with wrestling? Well, number one, as we know, Raw is on Netflix, which is a good segue to remind you that I am live streaming the very first episode of Monday Night Raw this Monday right here on this channel, January 5th. Braun Breaker versus CM Punk for the World Heavyweight title. The Kabuki Warriors will defend the women's tag titles against Rhea Ripley and Io Sky. And I hear there might be a certain Canadian that might make his return to the WWE. But we'll find out together if you hit that like and subscribe button today. So, obviously, for longtime fans like me, you know the obvious go-to here is, oh no, AEW is on the Warner Brothers networks, and we all remember what happened with WCW. Yeah, so here's the thing. It's the last video of the year. What if? Now, keep in mind, the TV deals for AEW do run through 2027. Now, these merger deals do tend to take a while, so it might take a couple of years. Which, again, as I said, the TV deals, which is important. As I said, it is important to know that AEW's TV deals for Dynamite and Collision do run through 2027. Now, because of these mergers do tend to take a couple of years, that does put into question what is the future of AEW if this acquisition goes through. And obviously, it's the last video of the year. Look, I made this fancy graphic, for a hypothetical Forbidden Door pay-per-view, PLE pay-per-view. Wait, if AEW and WWE do a show together, do we call it a pay-per-view or a PLE? I don't know. Hit the comments below. If AEW and WWE do a joint show together, is it a pay-per-view or is it a PLE? But I made this fancy graphic for what a hypothetical AEW WWE Forbidden Door show would be advertised as on Netflix. And Also, I did have a running series on this channel where I did talk about AEW versus WWE Forbidden Door pay-per-view PLE show. So you can check that video out up here. But what if, fun hypothetical, like I said, last video of the year, it is almost 2026. What if this is the key? What if Netflix, of all the things that we thought would never happen, an AEW and WWE show happens because Netflix unlocked the Forbidden Door? I'm just saying, it's a hypothetical situation, sure. But as I said, we're having fun here. Last video of the year. Now, obviously, the WWE is going to look at this and go, hey, Netflix, they got to go. They're our competition. They got to get off the network. We can't have them be on the same streaming platform as us. And that's what a lot of people, a lot of fans, I think were kind of worried about when this was announced, at least from like wrestling fans, because of what happened with WCW. Now, obviously, we're living in the age of streaming, and obviously, AEW has a lot of choices. So, Raw is on Netflix. If something happens a couple years down the line where that contract, TV contract is up, at the same time the merger gets agreed upon and completed in 2027, what's the chances that maybe 2027, 2028, AEW is on Amazon Prime or whatever streaming service is around in 2027, 2028? Because obviously we know WWE is on ESPN, Peacock, and whatever 50 other freaking streaming platforms there is, because they're trying to keep AEW off of, I guess, trying to corner the market, so to speak, to try to hurt AEW. So obviously the deal would impact AEW because WWE would be like, hey, no, they can't be on this. They can't be on Netflix. But then you look at it also where, maybe it would be better if Paramount did acquire the Warner Brothers, because then at the very least, there's not that clash there between WWE and AEW. But then I thought about it even more, and I said, wait a minute. UFC is on Paramount Plus, and of course we know TKO, WWE, TKO owns WWE and UFC. So even then, TKO might go, wait a minute, we also own WWE, so we don't want AEW on Paramount either. So it's one of those things. Like I said, it's fun. It's a fun hypothetical here, but like, could you imagine if this is what brings the Forbidden Door, the one thing that we as fans want to see, something that I think Tony Khan would absolutely be down for. Like, the WWE is doing all this stuff to try to hurt AEW. They're countering all their pay-per-views with NXT shows, with their own PLEs. It's almost as if Triple H inherited the hatred that Vince had for WCW, and that is like reflective on AEW, or his opinion and view of AEW. What was his comment at the Hall of Fame? It's a pissant company. So I mean, again, like, it's one of those things where I feel like if WWE called up Tony Khan, said, hey, let's put a show together, or let's work together, put all this on Netflix. You guys have Wednesdays, we have Mondays, whatever. And then let's come together once or twice a year to do a joint show for the fans. I think Tony Khan would be down for that. Like, there was a lot of people were talking about Edge coming back, being a part of John Cena's farewell tour. I don't know if WWE ever even asked about that, but like I would imagine, because Tony Khan is a big wrestling fan himself, that if WWE was like, "Hey, can we borrow Adam Copeland for one match against John Cena?" Tony Khan would have sent Edge over. I'm sure, if there was somebody that John Cena wanted to face in AEW, like a Kenny Omega or Hangman Adam Page or whoever, like a dream match. Ooh, Okada, that would be a good one. John Cena versus Okada, that would have been a good one. But like, imagine for like one or two matches of his farewell tour, John Cena was having dream matches with Kenny Omega and Okada and MJF and Hangman Adam Page. Like, I think Tony Khan would have said, "Hey, yeah, let's work together. Let's make John Cena's farewell tour great for the fans." But WWE is just like, meh. Nah, we don't want to work with you. So I think there is some concern for fans of what is the future of AEW on the Warner Brothers going forward if this deal does go through. But it's one of those things that, again, as we close out the year, it's fun hypothetical. I mean, what if that is the case? What if this is the key that eventually 2027, 2028 that unlocks the Forbidden Door and makes a WWE AEW Forbidden Door show a legitimate show that could actually happen. Plus, you throw in New Japan, Stardom for the women's side of things. Like, there's a lot there you can do to make this a big show. You could run it in, Wembley Stadium. Like, run it there. Run Forbidden Door there. WWE, AEW at Wembley Stadium. And as I said, I think this is something to keep our eye on. I think once this merger does get announced officially and gets voted on, like a year, whatever, down the line, where we're looking at 2027, 2028, and, the TV deals for AEW Dynamite and Collision are coming up, and we're going to be wondering where are they going to go. How is WWE going to impact that, so to speak? Are they going to have a role? Are they going to try to force Netflix to get rid of AEW? Or could we see a joint show maybe out of this? Who knows? But yeah, comment below, guys, as we close out 2025 here, Ringside Cinema. Let me know in the comments below, what dream matches do you want to see take place between WWE and AEW? Obviously you would have to say current matches. Probably, again, let's run back MJF and CM Punk. That was a great feud in AEW. That's one thing you can run back. Obviously, Jon Moxley, Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, in their current characters, all interacting with each other, leading up to a triple threat match between the three former Shield members. That would be pretty fire. Then, of course, you got Kenny Omega, Seth Rollins, Will Ospreay versus Seth Rollins versus Okada. There's a lot of potential down the line. So, let me know in the comments below, what matches would you want to see in a hypothetical Netflix special of Forbidden Door, AEW versus WWE? Let me know in the comments below. I've been your host, Money Mike, and make sure you join me tomorrow right here on this channel, as I will have my wrestling predictions for 2026.